What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new video. We're back and we're here breaking down the Toronto Blue Jays. And I was gonna make a spring training video, but this contract situation has been getting out of hand, alright? Today is the day that we look back to when Vladimir Guerrero Jr. went on a podcast and put a deadline on the contract extension. February 18 was the deadline he put. And what reason did he put that contract deadline for? The reason was because he didn't want it to be a distraction in the regular season. Well, guess what's happening, buddy? It's kind of the biggest story in the MLB right now, and I'm here to break it down because there's a lot more to it than people may realize. All right, so if y'all excited, make sure to like and subscribe. But without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so we all know that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. declined a contract from the Blue Jays front office on the night before the deadline, February 17. It was said that the offer was made around 10 p.m. that night, and it was for under his asking price. Now, originally, people thought that Guerrero's asking price was around $450 to $500, and people thought that the Blue Jays may have offered him $400 because way earlier before he put a deadline, they offered him $340, which he obviously declined. People thought the number at least had to start with a 4. It didn't. In fact, it started with a 5. Ladies and gentlemen, the number that the Blue Jays offered to Guerrero has been released. It was $500 million. They offered Guerrero $500 million. I didn't know Ross Atkins and Edward Rogers and Mark Shapiro were capable of coming up with a number so high. But Vladdy still declined it. So you're telling me that Guerrero's asking price, people thought to be $450 to $500, and the Blue Jays offered him the higher end of the contract, and he still declined it? Well, that is exactly what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. He declined the contract because it came out Guerrero's number that he had in mind for the contract extension was at least $100 million less than Soto. Now, he did say Juan Soto's contract had nothing to do with it, and that was his follow-up answer to the question the reporter asked him. But this means, we still don't know what the number is, by the way, but Guerrero's number, if we do some detective work, it's narrowed down to in between $500 million and $665 million, okay? That's what we know. Then, not too long ago, it was reported that apparently the Blue Jays and Guerrero were only $50 million apart. And since the offer was $500 million and he declined it, and they were $50 million apart, then that means the number is now in between 550 and 665, which is a good enough range to take a guess that he probably wants somewhere in the 600s, or at least around 600 million. There's been a lot of speculation because David Ortiz, if you don't know who David Ortiz is, I'm sorry about your life, all right? If you've got to know who David Ortiz is. But David Ortiz came out and said that he thinks Guerrero is worth $585 for 13 years. Some people thought that may have been his asking number, which is still very well on the table to be his asking number. Now, Guerrero said he moved it around a little bit, so maybe that was his initial offer, and then he changed it a little bit. I don't know, okay? All I know is that's what David Ortiz thinks Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is worth. But it also was said that Guerrero offered the same years as Soto, so 15 years, and David Ortiz said $585 million for 13 years. So if people want to speculate that or have that as a way to think about things, then they can think about it as it's over $585 million because you're obviously going to want more money for more years. So that could narrow the dollar amount down to $585 to $665 million. Now, it was also reported in the same thing that said they were $50 million off. It was also said that they were 3.5 AAV off. AAV standing for annual average value, something like that. But it's basically how much you get paid per year. So say you have a 2-year contract for $10 million. The AAV is $5 million because you get $5 million one year and $5 million the next year. Contracts usually don't work like that, but I'm just going to say that for the sake of this. So when Guerrero said they weren't close, if you think about it, they were kind of close from what we're hearing, but they might be even closer, ladies and gentlemen, all right? Because it's reported by the GOAT, Hector Gomez, that the Blue Jays are ready to make a second offer for $550 or $600 million. And if they make the offer for the higher part of $600 million, I think they have a legitimate chance because due to my detective skills, I have narrowed the contract that Vladdy wants to $585 and $665 in between those two numbers. Now it is $80 million, but if you're talking about millions, let's be honest, that's not really that far off. So I think your boy did a pretty good job over here. So if the Blue Jays offer the higher end of $600 million, which I think is around Guerrero's asking price, then they are going to be able to get it done. Now here comes the big question. Is Guerrero's window still open? Because like we know, like we said at the start of the video, he set a deadline. Tomorrow is a month exactly from the deadline he set. Is Guerrero able to open his window back up to the Blue Jays front office to get a contract extension done? Or is he sticking to his word and going into free agency? My guess is one of two options. One, the Blue Jays offering him an insane amount of money and he's just like, I can't say no to this. Or they offer him the exact money that he wants for the exact years that he wants, and since it's exactly what he wants, he takes it. Or he goes into free agency. Right now, at this very moment in time, I do not know which one is more possible, but if I had to lean towards one option, sadly, I do believe he would go into free agency, but it's literally like, if they were to offer him the contract, it's literally like 51% he says no, 49% he says yes. Like, that's how far I am on one side. It's literally 1% off. I know I've been away for a little bit and I gotta get caught up on spring training because holy Jesus, we're looking like a real baseball team again. But the first video back had to be about Guerrero's contract because it's just too big of a topic to not discuss right now. Will the Blue Jays really offer Vladimir Guerrero Jr. $600 million? We thought they offered him $40 million. They offered him $500 million. So, and I guess anything is possible now. I don't really know what to believe. Our front office used to suck. Now they don't suck. I don't really know what's going on. Do I believe they're going to get it done? Again, I'm leaning 51% no, 49% yes. But you let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is Guerrero going to open back up? Is Ross Atkins going to pull the trigger? We don't know. Stay tuned until we figure it out. But other than that, it's been me, your boy Brandon. I break down the Blue Jays, and I'll see you next time. Peace.